So you are a music nerd and you're tired of just sitting back passively just listening to music. You're tired of consuming music. You want to make the move from a consumer to a producer and you want to start creating your own music, right? But how do you even break in to start producing music? Like, what do you need? About 6 years ago, I was in the same position that you are in today. And actually, I made some huge mistakes along the way. Mistakes that ended up costing me probably about $3,200 and probably wasted between like 7 and 8 months worth of my own time that I'll probably never get back. Right now in this video, what I'm going to help you do is sidestep all of these problems that are going to be coming your way as a new producer, okay? So that you can avoid these roadblocks and make the right decisions. What I'm going to give you is by far the most affordable way for you to not only have the most fun as a new producer, but also hook you up with the best sounding platform and potential that you can utilize to create music in, like I said, the most affordable way possible. Author of a book called Machine, the Hip Hop Beatmaker's Missing Manual, which is hands down the most important guide for you as a new producer to get your feet wet and start learning the most important elements that are going to help you get started faster and start creating better music faster using a machine. All right. But for now, we'll talk about that later. Let's jump it over to the computer, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to get in order to make the best music and have the most fun and spend the least amount of money. Okay, so when I first got started in production, I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos, like I'm sure you are right now. Obviously, you're watching this one. But what I got sidetracked with was seeing all these good producers' setups, you know? Like, look at this picture right here. I was watching these people create good music, and in my mind I connected the fact that they had all this gear, they had all this equipment, and in order for me to sound like that, that's what I needed to purchase. And it couldn't be further from the truth. All right, so that was the first mistake I made. I assumed that because the producers that I was listening to had a lot of gear, that's what I needed in order to sound good. So I ended up buying a new computer. I bought a DJ turntable. I bought a microphone. I bought an audio interface. I bought a DJ mixer. I bought studio monitors. I bought a keyboard controller. I bought Pro Tools. I bought Machine. I spent, like I said, over $3,200 on gear before I'd ever even made a single beat. That is a effing fail. Do not make that same mistake, all right? Looking back on it, that was a big mistake. And because I purchased all that gear, like I said, I ended up wasting 7 or 8 months of my time. All that stuff came in, and instead of focusing on learning how to make beats, I was focusing on trying to set up my studio, right? I was focusing on learning how to connect the audio interface to the DJ mixer and getting the setup correct on that, connecting that to the turntable, learning how to import stuff into Pro Tools, how to connect Pro Tools with Machine. I was learning, all this other crap that was not important at all. I was learning how to set up a microphone, how to make my studio acoustically treated. All of the wrong things. And it ends up, because a lot of beginner producers make the exact same problem, it ends up costing you, all right? Because it forces you to spread your attention to too many different places. You're trying to learn Pro Tools at the same time as learn Machine. You're trying to learn hardware, how to set up a studio. You're trying to learn how to set up studio acoustics. You're trying to set up a new computer. You're trying to do all this stuff that is not important to where you are right now in making beats, okay? So instead, this is what you need to do. I wish that I had a mentor that would have told me what I'm about to tell you when I first got started. Instead of purchasing a room full of gear like this, or like this, or like, this, instead of doing all that, do something very simple. You only need to buy 2 things, all right? Let me let you listen to what those 2 things are. The first thing that I recommend that you do is purchase a used Machine MK2, okay? Not Pro Tools, not Ableton, not Logic, not Cubase, not, Studio One. Purchase a used Machine MK2, okay? There are a lot of people out there, I'm sure in the videos that were above and below me or in the sidebar right now, a lot of people are going to recommend that you purchase a DAW like Ableton or Pro Tools or Logic or something and add a keyboard controller to get started. But that's the wrong decision, okay? Because it's a step in the wrong direction. You're putting too much on your plate. Because in order to create anything decent with a DAW and a keyboard controller, you're going to have some knowledge of music theory. You're going to have some keyboard skills. You're going to have sounds, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Instead, like I said, I recommend that you get a used copy of Machine, okay? Used copy of Machine, all right? I've linked an article below if you're watching this on the blog or on the YouTube channel. There's an article linked in the description that is going to tell you how to purchase a used Machine MK2. Save yourself a bunch of money from a new one, okay? Because, like I said, as you can see here, used Machine MK2, $325. You know, you can capitalize on someone else's mistake of selling their machine and get on the come up. For $325. You can have the software, the hardware, all the sounds that you need, the VSTs, the synthesizers, you know, everything, all the sounds that you need in order to build a production you have using Machine. It's great software, great hardware, a great value, all right? Purchase your used Machine. Follow the directions in the article that I linked up. Like I said, the coolest part about it, great sound library, synthesizers. It's basically a full-on DAW minus the complexities, and it makes it very simple and intuitive for you to get started. In addition to that, there's also a bunch of great information on the internet available for free, as I'm going to talk about in a few steps, that is going to help you get started. There are a lot of great tutorials centered around Machine, since this platform, the people who own this platform do a great job of educating. I'm speaking about myself, giving myself a pat on the back. I've got a lot of free information for you to get started on Machine. All right, that's a thing that you don't want to miss. All right, if you're getting started with Cubase and a keyboard controller, there are not going to be a lot of people who teach that well enough or who are interesting enough to sort of guide you in those beginning stages when you really need a lot of hand holding. It makes sense to get Machine because there are a lot of really great teachers whose style, which will mesh well with you, who create the style of music that you want to create, and who can educate you about that process, all right? So I recommend starting with that. The second thing that I recommend that you do is not spend money on studio monitors like some other people will tell you to do, because it's completely overkill. You're going to pay $400, $300, $400 to get a decent pair of studio monitors. Plus, you're also going to need an audio interface, okay, to power those, or to run your signal from your computer to these speakers. You're going to need an audio interface. And when you get speakers, you're going to get studio monitors. The whole entire point of studio monitors is accurate response. And in order to get that, you're going to need to get acoustic treatment, you know, at the bare minimum. So you're going to end up spending, you know, probably $400, $500 to get all of those elements, all right? And in order to get the best out of them, it's going to cost a lot of money. Don't even bother with all that shit. Instead, what I need you to do is grab yourself a decent pair of headphones, okay? I speak a lot about this on my blog, how I mix with headphones and produce with headphones. It makes it a lot easier, okay? It takes a little bit of getting used to. Your ears have to get calibrated to mixing with headphones because they do have some weaknesses, particularly in the low end and in the phase issues, but that's not something you really need to worry about in the beginning, all right? This is more than enough for you to get started. So these Sennheisers HD280s are what I recommend, all right? They're the best bang for your buck. Don't even search around for anything else. You can grab them on Amazon, brand new, out the box for $100. Much better than Beats by Dre in terms of accuracy, all right? It's going to give you accurate productions. Do not use Beats, all right? It's a mistake. Grab a pair of HD280s. You can even get them on eBay for, you know, probably less. There are probably a lot of used ones on eBay that you could get that are basically like new for, you know, $50. All right, so you end up using this package that I just told you, spending $325, $300 on a machine, and $50 on some headphones, $60, $70. You know, that's not a bad setup. You have everything that you need in order to make really quality music, okay? The headphones options are much more controlled and much more accurate than any studio monitor setup that you'd be able to purchase as an entry level. You know, they're better than the KRKs or the Yamahas or anything like that. And not to mention, it's going to be a quarter of the price, okay? So the last and the third thing that I need you to do, and this is going to be This is something that I didn't hear mentioned in anyone else's video when I started searching these topics and researching to see what other people were going to say about this. This is the most important element, all right? People don't talk about this because, they're not really thinking in those terms. The most important thing to do once you get something, once you've made a decision, even if you do not get machine and headphones like I tell you to do, you'd be making a mistake if you didn't. But even if you decide to say buy Ableton or Logic or something, the most important thing to do is latch on to a mentor, okay? Get some education. Get some knowledge from someone who has been there and done that to drastically cut down your learning curve, okay? So if you're using Logic or Ableton, go find someone who knows how to use those programs, whether that's in person or on the internet or in a book. Grab that education and shorten your learning curve, okay? You'd be a fool to try to go at this on your own. It's much better to latch on to someone like me if you're using Machine to, get all of the introductory information. I have tons and let's look at all of the stuff that I have here. The best free VSTs, how to use distortion, the top best places for e-digging online, that's to get your samples, how to make creative melodies using Machine's chord mode, how to use advanced things like Machine's drum synths. I've created so much free information for you as a producer, or there are a ton of other options out there as well. There's so much information out there for you to get started. Find a few good people that you want to serve as your mentors and watch everything that they have to say to sort of soak up their knowledge and their information, okay? This is important because music production is actually pretty complicated. You're already watching this video, so you've taken a step in the right direction. But realize that production is equally as technical and as complex as learning how to build a website or program a computer. This is very technical stuff. All right, there's a lot of complex things, new vocabulary that you're going to have to learn, new ways of thinking that you're going to have to learn and transform to be able to create good things. So, if you're planning on investing in a studio, if you're planning on making music the next focus of your life, then start to take your education seriously. Invest the time every day into learning about things like composing melodies and sound design and mix engineering and mastering. And it's going to help you out a lot, all right? If you're watching this on the blog, there's going to be a bunch of links to the things that you can utilize to start to get yourself started in all of these concepts that I'm just learning, to familiarize yourself with the basic things in Machine, okay? So, or anything else in that matter. So, print out your Machine manual or whatever manual for the software that you choose to get or the hardware that you choose to get. Make sure that you thoroughly understand the tools that you're working with. Make it simple on yourself. Start to build, a few people that you follow on YouTube. Just a few, okay? Don't follow 5, 8, 10 people. Follow 2, 3 people who are really getting down into the details, and make sure to watch and observe and absorb all of the knowledge and soak up the information that they're giving you, okay? Don't spread yourself too thin. Focus. All right, and lastly, I couldn't end this thing without mentioning this. Practice. It sounds simple, but practice, okay? That's something that I didn't do in the beginning. I was spending way too much time trying to set up my shit, and instead of just making music. You want to be a producer? Produce. Make a beat every day. Practice for 1 hour every day outside of your education time. That's not including the time that you spent learning, like I said. Practice. Practice, just make a habit of even 30 minutes every day is better than practicing, once every weekend for 2-3 hours. Practice for 30 minutes or an hour every single day. Make it a habit. Build it into your schedule. And you're going to see, if you combine that with learning regularly, following guys like me on the internet to start learning, the basics, you're going to exponentially increase. You're going to learn very, very quickly. You're going to get the basics down very fast. You're going to move along in this process. And instead of floundering with your time and your money and your energy, like most people who get started with production 5, 10, even 15 years later, they're no better than people who have just been producing for a year or two, because the people who have just been producing for a year or two decided to focus on their education, decided to learn quickly, decided to get around people and interface with people who are like-minded that could show them and teach them things and keep them motivated. They decided to practice every single day for a few hours in order to improve their skills. And the people who end up running in place or not ever becoming good at production are those who bullshit, who waste time, who only practice on the weekend, who choose to play video games instead of practicing. That's the difference, okay? So don't make the same mistakes that I did. Get benefit from this stupid simple setup. Don't spend $3,000. Follow exactly what I said, all right? Get your used Machine MK2 off the internet. Follow the instructions in my article that I've outlined to make sure that you don't get burned when you buy a used machine. Save yourself a few $100. Grab a pair of Sennheiser headphones for maybe $70. You got to set up for less than $450. $400. You're good. All right? Add it. Start practicing. Start learning. Keep it simple. Don't try to complicate your life by adding some complexity. And then maybe later on you can move on to buying that audio interface and the studio monitors and the Complete 10 Ultimate and the keyboard controller and all that other stuff. All right, save that for later. You're good right now with just the basics. As a matter of fact, what I have just told you right now, a machine and some headphones, those are the only two things that I have in my studio. I sold my audio interface. I bought 4 audio interfaces over the few years. I've bought studio monitors. I sold all of them. I produce exclusively. If you watch my channels, go ahead and check out my music. It's pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. I'm not a top tier level guy, but I make some pretty good shit. And I just use a machine studio, and a pair of headphones. No complicated VSTs, none of that other stuff. All right, so it's possible to create really great stuff with exactly what I've just outlined to you. You don't have to spend a bunch of money. You don't have to have some grand studio. As a matter of fact, let me show you this right here. This is a picture of Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo, the members of the Neptunes. It's another picture of them. Pharrell, if you watch him in the studio, he's using a 13-inch MacBook and a keyboard controller and Logic. That's it. He is in a studio that probably costs $500,000 worth, has $500,000 worth of equipment, and he's using a laptop and a keyboard controller. Okay, that's I know that's counterintuitive to what I just told you. Don't buy a keyboard controller and a DAW. Pharrell Williams has been producing for 20 years. He understands music theory, chords, progressions, melodies, sound design, all that stuff. Make it easier on yourself and just get machine. But the lesson to take away from this is that keep it simple. Even the best producers in the world use a simple-ass setup. Look, Chad has on a pair of headphones, a computer, and a keyboard. That's it. No multi-million-dollar setup. If you see Pharrell anywhere, that's what he's doing. So follow that advice. Keep it simple. All right? And not to leave you, I want to make sure that you are educated and armed for the next level. If you're taking my advice, if you're going to purchase Machine, go ahead and grab a copy of my book, all right? It's called Machine, the Hip-Hop Beatmaker's Missing Manual. And inside of here, I'm going to arm you with everything that you need as a beginner producer to educate yourself and get that foundation so that you can create better music with Machine much more quickly than anyone who is trying to go at it on their own. Much more quickly than someone who is going to just watch a whole bunch of random YouTube videos or try to figure it out on their own. Because everything is laid out for you from beginning to end, all right? I'll teach you the lay of the land of the hardware and software on Machine Studio, and on Machine MK2 and Machine Micro. I'll teach you how to build using Machine's building blocks, how to create on Machine, how to develop your workflow, how to sample using Machine, where to find the best samples, things like how to use Machine's modes to construct drum grooves, how to use the drum, everything that you need to know from beginning to end. I even go into complicated concepts like mixing and compression. I'm going to break everything down for you in a very simple and easy to understand way so that you can sort of arm yourself with the basics of Machine in 89 pages. It'll take you not even 2 hours to read this entire thing from front to back, and you'll instantly be armed with all the information that you need in order to get started and start making great beats, all right? You're probably thinking, man, how much does this thing cost? It sounds great. Well, you're probably thinking maybe 50, maybe 30 bucks at the minimum. Well, I have good news for you, all right? I want to hook you up, make sure that you have everything that you need at an affordable price. Like I said, the machine for the low, the headphones. I want you to keep it simple. This book, I am letting you have this book, a copy of this book, just as someone who is new to my community, as a subscriber, a new subscriber to my community. I'm going to give you the option to purchase this book for just $1 today, okay? $1, no catch, no strings attached. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's going to be a link below in the description. Click on the link. You're going to land upon a page that looks exactly like this, and it's going to educate you a little bit more about what's inside of this book, what you're going to learn. Click this big yellow button to get your book. Like I said, it's a buck, no catch, no strings attached. Enter your name, contact information, and your payment information. You're going to be up and running with a minute and getting your digital copy of this book exactly like this. All right, so go ahead and get started. Remember to keep it simple. Don't buy a whole bunch of crap. My name is Rob. I am the creator of this book. It's called Machine, the Hip Hop Beatmaker's Missing Manual. I'm also the author of a really great community on YouTube. It's called Hip Hop Rally, but it's operating under my name. My name is Robert Stevenson. Click subscribe to continue to get great free information that's going to help and hold your hand. I'm going to be your mentor on Machine, your mentor on production, to sort of guide you through all of these roadblocks and help you really to make sure that you stay on top of this, to keep you motivated and inspired and educated so that you can make better music, all right? So I appreciate you watching. Click subscribe. Grab your copy of my book. Make sure to keep it simple. Grab your used stuff on eBay for the low, and I will see you in future videos. Peace.